behalf of the International Association of Fire Chiefs and the fire service in general, we thank you so much for joining us this morning. As we gather to remember the events of September 11, 2001, we stand before a symbol of resilience and remembrance, a piece of steel from the World Trade Center, which once held up one of the towers that defined the New York City skyline. The beam, worn and scarred, carried with it not just the weight of the towers it once supported, but also the memories of that fateful day and profound impact that it had on our nation and the world. For the IAFC community, this artifact holds special significance. It represents the unwavering commitment to service, sacrifice, and solidarity. Firefighters, first responders, and public safety professionals share a bond that transcends borders and differences. They're united by a dedication to protect and serve, often in the face of unimaginable challenges. And on September 11, 2001, firefighters, along with police officers, emergency medical personnel, and countless others rushed towards danger without hesitation, displaying courage that defines the very essence of the profession. The beam serves as a reminder of the sacrifices made and the countless lives affected by that tragic day, and it symbolizes our commitment to honor the memory of those we lost by continuing to protect and serve the communities with that unwavering dedication. So just as the steel beam once supported the towers, the firefighters and the public safety professionals provide on a daily basis support and protection to our communities in the time of need. So today, we remember not only the almost 3,000 lives lost in New York, Virginia, and Pennsylvania, but also the strength, bravery, and compassion that emerged in the face of that adversity. So may this beam serve as a symbol of hope, resilience, and remembrance. May we never forget the heroes of September 11, 2001. So let's observe a minute of silence at this time. Thank you. And now I would like to invite Joe, who will introduce himself and give us some remarks about that day.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Joe Kratochvil. I previously had worked with the International Association of Fire Chiefs. I left about a year and a half ago. Did 6 years, standing on my head doing that. Prior to that, I had worked for the Fairfax County Fire and Rescue Department. And as I was driving in this morning, I remembered back 22 years ago, as many of you probably did as well today, thinking about what happened that day. I guess most everybody here is old enough to remember what happened. For me, I was on my way to work. I worked at the Oakton Firehouse. And at the Oakton Firehouse at that time was the county's hazardous material response team. We were having a monthly drill that day. We got to the firehouse, did our stuff in the morning, and by that 8 o'clock we were at the academy and we started the drill. Ironically, the theme for that particular drill was terrorism. We had just broken out into group sessions to go over running and handling a terrorism attack. The individual came in, one of the staff from the academy, said a plane hit the World Trade Center. So we were all talking in between. The captain said, stop, let's go down to the cafeteria, the dining room, look at the TV, see what's going on, and come back and get this drill going. While we were there, the second plane hit. And his exact words were, back in the classroom, it's game day, okay? So we got back and we started setting up and figuring out what we were gonna do for the rest of the day. The hazardous material team is comprised of 4 specialized units and then the hazmat unit. Those 4 units could individually operate as a hazmat unit. So we were getting all that set up when we found out the Pentagon got hit. Okay? We ended up going back to our firehouse in Oakton, upstaffed our engine and ambulance with people from the shift from the next day that we were going to be coming in. We didn't do anything the rest of the day. Units from the county went to Arlington, went to the Pentagon, were there for days, okay, filling in. Arlington's resources were all at the Pentagon, so the county units were filling in. We went back, and eventually that evening we ended up providing decon for the members coming back from the Pentagon. We set up at the Annandale Firehouse, and we deconned the units and the people. Got their clothes bagged up so the clothes could be laundered, and then the trucks we rinsed out and all that stuff. The next day, or that day actually, the International Association of Firefighters, the Firefighters Union, provided staffing in New York with counselors and clergy for the people that were impacted up there. One of the guys with the International is the guy who went to recruit school with me. He was part of the Worcester response when 6 firefighters died. He contacted those folks and set up an office up in New York. Fairfax had a contingent of people, a fair amount of folks like myself that had grown up in the New York City area, Long Island area. So they called us up to go. So originally the group went up. The following week, my dad and I went up. My dad had spent 20 years on the New York City Fire Department. He and I went up the following week. We spent a week up there. 3 days, 4 days we set and we put almost 300 firehouses on 5 borough maps. Retired guys were coming in for the fire department and they were taking stuff to the firehouses, providing assistance to the firehouses all around the city. And some of these guys may have worked in the Bronx, had no idea where a firehouse was in Queens, so they used these maps, and they actually used them for over a year after we set them up. And then I spent time in the evening taking clergy and councils down to the site. The last couple days I was there, I worked with one of the union trustees for Manhattan. Picked me up at 8:30 in the morning, and we do all kinds of stuff, and usually about 10 o'clock at night we go to the pile, and we were there till 3:30 in the morning, and then we come back and do it all over the next day. So that was my time there. Connections to it. Well, I've got 3 I'm going to talk about. This first one, this is a picture of myself and a firefighter I had worked with here in Fairfax County. He got hired up in FDNY. He was actually assigned to 10 House. 10 House was engine and ladder 10 that was directly across the street from the South Tower. Literally from here to across the street. That's how close it was. They lost guys. Kevin was supposed to be working that day. Kevin got someone else to fill in for him. That guy lost his life. So Kevin got hit pretty hard. He's since retired. He went to work in the Bronx and he's since retired and he's doing okay. The next one, the gentleman on the far left, Bill Butler. All these people, these folks right here were on ladder 6 from Chinatown. The woman that's there is a woman they rescued. They were bringing her down from about the 20th floor. She was having trouble walking and they were having trouble getting out. Captain Jonas, who's in the middle there, was trying to get him out because he knew the South Tower already came down. He knew this North Tower was coming down too. It got to the 4th floor. Josephine could no longer walk. And maybe you've seen the story or heard about it. Josephine could no longer walk. Jay Jonas went in and tried to find a chair. He couldn't find one. It was a mechanical room. He made it to the doorway when he heard the rumble. The North Tower collapsed around him. There was 13 of them in the stairwell and they all survived. Okay, and still to this day, they're all with us, except Josephine. She passed away, I want to say 2 years ago, maybe last year, from a heart attack. The last one is a gentleman I met 2 years prior, gone to a training class down in Anniston, Alabama, dealing with live nerve agent training. We were dealing with sarin and VX and how to handle episodes and incidents with it. This guy, we got to talking in New York Connection and found out he worked for the Port Authority. The day we were leaving, he hands me his card. He said, anytime you're in the city, you want to go through the World Trade Center, look me up. Ezra Avilés. Ezra was in the North Tower. He was assisting getting people out. He made numerous phone calls to let people know that they had people trapped and they needed to get people up to help. He lost his life in the tower. So those are my close experiences with those things. I know Jim was he was working up there. His wife was actually in the city. I had cousins. One cousin literally was in 4 World Trade, which is right next to the South Tower. When the first plane hit, they were coming out. They were told to go back in. They went back in. The second plane hit, they were told to go back in. He left. He got on the last subway train going out, got to Penn Station, got on Long Island Railroad, headed out to the island. When he cleared the tunnel coming out, he looked back and saw the South Tower coming down. If he'd have stayed in his building, he would have died in that building. 2 other cousins were within blocks of it. 4 people I graduated high school with were within blocks of this. One worked at the World Financial Center right across the street. They all survived. And people I saw at memorial services, firefighters, after the fact, they thanked us for being there because they had so many. It was 12, 15, 18 funerals a day just for firefighters. They thanked us for being there. And I asked them, I said, why are you here? Why do you think you're here? And they said, I have no clue. I asked Billy Butler the same thing. And these guys said, I went left, my buddy went right. I'm here and he's gone. I don't know. I can't explain it. Okay? The other thing to keep in mind is this. There's people still dying today. I checked yesterday, and as of yesterday, in the New York City Fire Department, they've lost 341 members, firefighters and civilians and EMS people. On 9/11, they lost 334. Okay? They're dying continuously, and civilians as well that are impacted by what was down there. I'm just waiting. So far, I haven't had a thing go wrong with me, but I'm just waiting. And the rest of us that were there are around it. But that's just my little piece of it. Thank you for coming out. I appreciate it, and that's all I got.
Thank you very much. Joe? Would anyone else like to share their experience today? We have a few minutes. So with that, thank you so much for joining us in this meaningful